Morning, everybody, and thanks for taking the time to join us again this morning. So today, I'd like to talk about the global effects of what's been happening in the world, and particularly the impact on the South African plumbing industry. I think we've all been aware. I think it's about 5 months ago that I did a similar presentation talking about the massive increases in copper and steel. And since that time, things have actually just got worse, especially considering what's going on in the Ukraine. So if we have a look at what's happening with the, for example, Brent Crude Oil, at the time I did the slide, we were at $124 a barrel. I looked quickly this morning and it was on about $114 or $118 a barrel. But nonetheless, you can see clearly there on the graph what has happened with the Brent crude oil price, and obviously that has a direct impact on virtually everything that we do in this country. So crude oil prices directly impact obviously petrol, diesel, LPG, paraffin, all that sort of thing, and that, you know, every time there's a petrol price increase, pretty much everything goes up. But one's also got to consider the fact that a large majority of the plumbing material that we use in South Africa now is imported. And so all that imported product has to come across either by ship or by aeroplane. And the prices of those products are also going to go up even more because the cost of transport is going to go up. Every plastic product, so PVC, LDPE, HT, polyprop, PEX, lagging, cistern mix, toilet seats, etc., anything that's made of plastic is pretty much a byproduct of the refining of crude oil, and so all those products are going to go up quite dramatically. And then, as I said, petrol price increase just affects everything, so everything goes up, and obviously your costs go up every time the petrol price goes up. Taking a look at what's happening to the copper price, you can see there this graph goes back to 2002. So in the last 20 years, you can see there that the copper price is at the highest that it's been in more than 20 years. I didn't look back further, but I think it might be the highest price that copper's ever been at. As I said, the last time I did a similar presentation, this has a lot to do with renewables and all the green technology out there, because a lot of that green technology uses quite a bit of copper, and that impacts us. And even though we do have some copper mines in South Africa and in Zambia, and the copper pipe and fittings are often produced here in South Africa, they still have to pay the international copper price. The fact that it's mined in South Africa doesn't help us. Everybody sells at the London Metal Exchange price, and so there's an immediate impact on copper. And I think, as all of us know, with copper in particular, is there's no lead time. The price goes up virtually instantly. Yesterday it was one price, tomorrow it's another price. So we've all experienced that, and we've experienced that very much so over the last few months. So you know, copper is just flying through the roof. Copper obviously affects, excuse me, obviously copper tubing and fittings, but all brass components, anything made of brass, has a large component of copper in it. So taps, mixers, valves, PRVs, non-returns, just about every brass component, compression fittings, and then also a lot of electrical components. So thermostats, elements, all these types of things. These prices have just really shot up through the roof, and there's really nothing that the manufacturers can do about it. My apologies for the dog, guys. These things happen. Taking a look at the steel price, and the steel price is not quite as steep an increase, but you can see there that there's a very strong and ongoing increase. Again, this graph goes back to 2014. And you can see that steady increase there from 2016, and it just keeps going. From this time, the price of steel has even gone up more. So steel affects in terms of plumbing components, geysers, heat pumps, solar, water heaters, obviously galvanized and all the different types of steel piping, steam, fire mains, all that type of thing. But other things like tools, fixations, and then all the steel profiles like angle iron, rebar, mesh, square tubing, all that sort of thing that that you guys use, maybe not directly all the time, but you know, in assisting you to fit your products wherever you need to fit them. Just taking a look at some of the other commodities, you can look there where the red arrow is, and you'll see aluminium, tin, zinc, lead, nickel, all of these sort of things have gone up, and this affects virtually everything you do. I think stainless steel, as far as I know, sometime a couple of weeks ago, had 4 increases in one day. It's just really running rampant, and we've just got to be very, very aware of what this is, of the impact that this is going to have on us. Now, obviously, everything that we buy on the London Metal Exchange and that the manufacturers buy on the London Metal Exchange is affected by the rand-dollar exchange rate. Now, the rand is behaving a little bit unusually. So from June, there's been a steady weakening of the rand, but then from December, it strengthened, and now it's gone through a little period of weakening again, and then it seems to be strengthening once again. So the rand's a little bit all over the place. But, you know, we've got to understand that although the prices have gone up so dramatically, the rand-dollar exchange rate makes it even worse. It exacerbates the problem. So because our rand is weak, we end up paying even more in rand terms for the products and for the raw materials. So it's very difficult to predict the rand, and they're very, very clever people that are able to do that, make a fortune on it. And for the rest of us, we just kind of have to sit back and watch it and hope for the best. So you know, all of this, the picture that I'm trying to paint for you is that we're going through a period right now that certainly in my 20 odd years in the industry and chatting to other guys that have been around for much longer than me, I don't think any of us have ever seen a period like this, with instability and the massive price increases that are coming through at very short notice. So my message today really to you is to be very, very cautious and keep a very close eye on what's happening to material prices and what's happening to the costs in your business, which are all of a sudden going to ratchet up. So what can we do about it? So unfortunately, neither IOPSA nor the South African government, virtually anybody of us, can really do anything about this. The metals are traded in a free market environment, and so there's really nothing that we can do about it. And the manufacturers, the importers, the merchants are in exactly the same boat as the rest of us. So what can we do? I think first and foremost, the most important thing to do is right now is to inform your clients in writing, especially where there are contracts in place. So whether you're doing a large construction project or even a small construction project, or you in some sort of a contract to do maintenance or whatever it is where there are contracts in place, you need to inform your clients in writing that there are increases have happened and there are more increases expected to happen. If you've got some leeway in your contract to purchase materials up front, and a lot of construction projects allow for materials on site, what they call materials on site. Have a look if your contract allows for that. It might be worthwhile you buying some material and hopefully getting paid for it. Take a look at your stock levels in your business and invest in some stock if you've got some free cash. Obviously, I don't suggest you taking out loans and things to buy stock, but if you've got some spare cash, maybe have a look at increasing your stock levels. But definitely, we all need to start managing our stock better. You need to have a good hard look at the stock that you have, and don't forget that builder's bucket and that trommel in the back of your bakkies. Those things are usually full of stock, and actually, if you take them and you just clean them out, you normally find a couple of £1,000 worth of stock sitting in those building buckets and trommels. So have a look at how you manage your stock and see if you can manage it a bit better. And exactly the same with your scrap, because all of a sudden your scrap is going to be worth a hell of a lot more. It's also really, really important to have a look at reducing your waste. You know, every time you mismeasure on your copper pipe, or even now with the prices, your PVC pipe, and you've got these little offcuts. Those offcuts might have been worth 50 cents or R1. Now they're worth R2 or R3. So, you know, have a look at how you reduce waste. Make sure that your guys are not throwing away the last little piece of solder on the roll. I don't know anybody that's seen the prices of silicone. That's also gone crazy. You know, we all end up throwing away a half tube of silicone. All of us have thrown away hundreds of them, I think. Half a tube of silicone that's gone hard. But all of a sudden, that's worth money. That's worth quite a bit of money now. Take a look at strategic buying and bulk buying. Maybe get together with some of your friends and colleagues and see if you can do some bulk buying together. But, you know, think about your purchases of materials, but not only the big high-end materials, but your consumables, because they've also really gone up so much. Like I said, silicone, solder, gas, all these types of things, every price has gone up. And then this is, for me, one of the most important things is you need to increase your prices, or at least that's my advice. And don't wait. It's happened already. The fuel price has gone up, and it's going up again. We've all heard the stories, whether it's, you know, it seems to be that it'll be about R3 or R2. But everything's gone up. Everything is going up. So don't wait. Have a look at your pricing. Think very hard about your pricing and get your prices up now. Try and look for services that you can offer that use less material. So things like, you know, doing blockages and leak detection and, you know, other things that don't necessarily require the selling of material, because, you know, you'll actually end up, I think, making more money at the moment selling services and not necessarily material. And then we've all got them. Every single business in South Africa has got them. The bad client. We've all got that client that we know when they call us out on a Sunday, they're going to be complaining about the price. They're going to be delaying the payment. They're going to have a story. They're going to argue about what you've done and what material and how long you were on site, all those sort of things. You don't need those clients right now. We're going to go through a very difficult period. In fact, we are going through a difficult period. And really, those bad clients just pull you down, and they're really, really bad for your business. So my 2 cents worth here is have a look at your clients, and those really bad clients, put them on a cash up front basis, or just plain fire them. Just stop doing business with them. It doesn't sit naturally with most of us doing something like that. But honestly, bad clients right now is not what you need in your business. I think we're going to go through an extremely challenging period. Anybody that's sitting right now in a fixed cost contract or thinking about signing into a fixed cost contract, Steve and I were down in the Cape this past week, and we were talking to a gentleman who was just about to sign a fixed cost contract. I would think very, very, very long and hard about that. You can maybe put a clause in that says that the material prices are subject to increase because we're going through a difficult time now. But I would really think very hard about going into fixed cost contracts. Business is tight. There's not a massive amount of business out there at the moment, and I know that everybody's struggling a little bit, but I would rather not have the work than have work that I end up losing money on. So just give it a lot of thought. Think very clearly about going into any sort of fixed cost contract, even if it's only fixed cost for a couple of months. The next couple of months are going to be really challenging. This is something that Steve talked a lot about, is better planning. Plan your trips better. Plan where your guys are going and where your teams are going to and how those routes work out. Make sure that they've got the right material first time up, so that you're not running back and forth between suppliers or back to the office and then out to another job. Or if you really look at your planning carefully, you can save quite a bit of money. You definitely don't want to be running around to 2, 3, or 4 suppliers on every single job, because that's just going to cost you an absolute fortune. Where you can, have a look at changing specifications, changing from one type of material to another that might be more cost effective. Have a chat to architects or your clients about the products that they may have chosen, and see where you can have a look at changing specifications, especially to products that are a little bit less volatile. A lot of people, when they quote, their quotes are valid for 30 days. So have a look at changing that validity period of your quotes. Move that down to maybe 7 days or 10 days, something like that, because you just can't quote your quotes valid for 30 days or 60 days and things like that. The prices are going to change. Obviously, like I said, the local product is also affected by this increase, but they don't need to be shipped. So there's a little bit of they're a little bit less impacted by what's going on. So have a look at buying local products and try and support the South African economy, because that's the only way ultimately that we're all going to grow our business in this country. And then get close to your suppliers, guys. Really build a good, strong relationship with your suppliers, and make sure that they're keeping you up to date. Very often they don't know about the price increases, but sometimes and quite often they do know that there's a price increase coming. And if you stay close to your suppliers, you can get a heads up. Maybe you can get in a couple of purchases before the price goes up, and just they've got a better insight as to what's coming than you do. So I hope it was worthwhile, guys. Sorry I had to rush through it. It is a lot of information to get through, but I hope that was useful to you. And I urge every single one that's listening to this webinar today to really take this situation seriously. It is going to be a really challenging time. So think about your costs. Think about what's happening in your business, your materials, and the way your guys are handling the materials, and your petrol and all that sort of thing. It's going to be a challenging time, but if we do it eyes wide open, we should all get through this. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.